Have you ever faced a situation that felt completely impossible? A moment where you were trapped, with no way forward and no way back. Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible stories ever told, a tale of desperation, faith, and a miracle so grand it has echoed through millennia. This is the story of Moses and the parting of the Red Sea. To truly grasp the magnitude of this event, we need to go back a bit. Imagine being an Israelite in ancient Egypt. For 430 years, your people have been enslaved. Generations have been born, lived, and died in bondage, their backs breaking under the weight of forced labor, building cities for the mighty pharaohs. Their cries for freedom seemed to go unheard, a faint whisper against the roar of a powerful empire. But then, a leader emerges, Moses. A man with a complex past raised in the pharaoh's own palace, yet an Israelite by birth. After a dramatic escape and years in exile, he is called by God from a burning bush with an audacious mission: go back to Egypt and tell the most powerful man on earth, Pharaoh, to let his people go. As you can imagine, Pharaoh wasn't exactly thrilled with this request. Who is the Lord, that I should obey him and let Israel go? He scoffed. This refusal kicked off a divine showdown of epic proportions. God sent a series of 10 plagues upon Egypt, each one more devastating than the last. These weren't just random disasters, they were targeted strikes against the Egyptian gods, demonstrating that the God of the Israelites was the one true power. From the Nile turning to blood, to swarms of frogs, gnats, and flies, to the death of livestock, boils, and hail, Egypt was brought to its knees. The 9th plague was a terrifying darkness that covered the land for 3 days, a darkness so thick it could be felt. Still, Pharaoh's heart remained hard. Then came the 10th and final plague, the most terrible of all, the death of every firstborn son in Egypt, from the heir to Pharaoh's throne down to the firstborn of the livestock. Only the Israelites, who had followed God's command to mark their doorposts with the blood of a lamb, were spared. This night is forever known as the Passover. Broken by this final, devastating blow, Pharaoh finally relents. He summons Moses and his brother Aaron in the middle of the night and tells them to leave, to take their people, their flocks, their herds, everything, and go. And so, the great Exodus begins. After centuries of slavery, 600,000 men, plus women and children, a nation of millions, walk out of Egypt. They weren't just walking away from slavery, they were walking toward a promise. A promised land flowing with milk and honey. God guided them personally, as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. It was a visible, constant reminder of His presence with them. But their newfound freedom was short-lived. Once the initial shock and grief wore off, Pharaoh's pride returned. Regret washed over him. He had just lost his entire slave labor force. What have we done? He fumed. We have let the Israelites go from serving us. He wasted no time. Pharaoh mustered his entire army, his best soldiers, his elite units, and 600 of his finest chariots, the most advanced military technology of the day. Imagine the sight, a cloud of dust on the horizon, growing larger and larger, the thunder of hooves and the rumble of chariot wheels shaking the very ground. The Egyptian army was coming for them, and they were coming fast. Now, picture the scene from the Israelites' perspective. They are finally free, their hearts filled with hope for the first time in generations. They've followed God's pillar of cloud to the edge of a vast body of water, the Red Sea. They are camped by the shore, catching their breath, when they look back and see it, Pharaoh's army, a gleaming, terrifying wall of bronze and iron, closing it. Panic erupts. Absolute, gut-wrenching terror. In front of them, the impassable Red Sea. Behind them, the most powerful army on earth, bent on revenge and recapture. They are trapped. There is no escape. Their hope turns to despair. They cry out to Moses, their words dripping with fear and accusation. Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. It's a human reaction, isn't it? When faced with an impossible situation, our first instinct is often fear and blame. But in this moment of supreme crisis, Moses stands firm. He turns to the terrified crowd and delivers one of the most powerful declarations of faith in history. He says, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Be still." Can you imagine hearing those words? With a furious army bearing down on you, the command to simply be still and trust seems insane. But that's exactly what faith is, trusting God even especially when the circumstances make no sense. Then, God gives Moses a simple, yet profound instruction: raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. As Moses lifts his staff, the pillar of cloud that had been leading the Israelites moves. It shifts from the front of the camp to the back, positioning itself between the Israelites and the pursuing Egyptians. For the Israelites, it continues to provide light. But for the Egyptians, it becomes a wall of darkness and confusion, halting their advance for the entire night. Then, the miracle begins. Moses stretches his hand out over the sea. All through that night, a strong east wind blows. The wind pushes and drives the water, and the sea begins to part. The waters are divided, piling up like liquid walls on either side. And in between, where there was once a raging sea, a path of dry land appears. Not muddy, not swampy dry ground. Under the light of the pillar of fire, with walls of water towering over them on their left and on their right, the nation of Israel begins to walk. One by one, family by family, they step onto the seabed and walk across to the other side. Millions of people, along with their livestock, making a journey that should be impossible. It must have been a terrifying and awe-inspiring sight, a corridor of salvation carved through the heart of chaos. When morning dawns, the last of the Israelites are nearing the opposite shore. The Egyptian army, held back by the darkness all night, finally sees the path and surges forward in pursuit. Pharaoh's chariots and horsemen charge onto the dry seabed, confident they can still catch their former slaves. But their arrogance is their undoing. God throws the Egyptian army into a panic. He clogs the wheels of their chariots, making them difficult to drive. The Egyptians realize they are fighting against a power far greater than their own. "Let's get away from the Israelites," they shout. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt. But it's too late. Once every single Israelite is safely on the other side, God gives Moses his final command for this battle: stretch out your hand over the sea so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen. Moses obeys. He stretches his hand out over the sea. As the sun rises, the walls of water collapse. The sea returns to its full force, crashing down upon the entire Egyptian army. The chariots, the horses, the soldiers, not one of them survived. The mighty army that had terrorized the Israelites was utterly destroyed, washed away by the very sea that had provided a path to freedom for God's people. That morning, as the Israelites stood on the far shore, they saw the bodies of their former oppressors washed up on the beach. The threat was gone. The enemy was defeated. They were truly, finally free. And the Bible says that when the people saw the Lord's great power, they put their trust in him and in his servant Moses. Their fear turned into worship, and they sang a song of praise to the God who had saved them. The story of the Red Sea is more than just an ancient tale. It's a powerful testament to the idea that even when we are trapped, when all hope seems lost, when we're facing an impossible Red Sea situation in our own lives, there can be a way forward. It is a story about the power of faith in the face of overwhelming fear, and a reminder that sometimes the greatest miracles happen when we are simply called to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. What impossible situations are you facing today? This story encourages us to look beyond our circumstances and trust that a way can be made where there seems to be no way. Thanks so much for joining me on this incredible journey through history. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the most powerful stories ever told. Let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from this miracle. See you in the next video.